Hello, I'm Steve Weber, the host of Essential Book Drop. Tonight, we're doing an extenuation, an exploration of some flesh and blood examples of what we've been talking about. There's been such a visceral, huge reaction to the podcast. We're going to explore it in depth with some flesh and blood-curdling examples of exactly what we're talking about previously. Good night, Cassandra. Let's jump right in.
A very cheerful greeting to you two. It's great to be back for another deep dive. Lots to unpack today.
Cass, musicianship, professional performing. It connects very nice with what is our usual shtick, that book stuff we keep talking about, right?
You're so right, Steve. As always, kick this off.
Okay, let's do it. So our mission for this deep dive, forget all that intro drama, we're focusing right in. We're looking at one specific piece of music history, the Beatles' 1965 track, Norwegian Wood. This bird has flown.
Ah, yes, a classic.
Right, but we're going beneath the surface. We're analyzing the source material around it to see how this, well, seemingly simple song actually hides a coded confession, infidelity, humiliation.
And that whole rumored arson thing, right?
Exactly, the arson. We're exploring how the actual musicianship, the sound, the arrangement maybe served as John Lennon's lyrical defense mechanism, how the music itself helped hide the message.
It's such a perfect example because you have to remember the context. 1965, the sources all point to this. Rubber Soul, the album it's on, was this huge leap for them.
Yeah, a massive change.
They were leaving behind that, cheerful mop-top pop image, moving into something deeper, more introspective, pushing boundaries.
Rock music, really. Folk rock. And with that came, well, more complexity. And maybe more things to hide.
Precisely. And Norwegian Wood is right there at the heart of it. It sounds, on the surface, like this gentle acoustic folk tune. It's got that beautiful melody.
And George Harrison's sitar, that was huge. It gave the whole thing this exotic, almost intellectual feel, didn't it? Wrapped it up nicely.
Absolutely. Revolutionary sound for pop. And that, I think, is key to this whole defense mechanism idea we're exploring. The arrangement is so unique, so beautiful, it kind of distracts you, pulls your ear away from what the words are actually saying.
Which are pretty sharp, actually.
Oh, yeah. Underneath that gentle sound, the sources suggest it's this, masterpiece of psychological warfare and metaphorical genius. Secrets hidden right there, but disguised by this gorgeous music.
Okay, so let's start breaking it down. The title itself, Norwegian Wood. I mean, for ages, everyone pictured, a forest in Norway, right? Something romantic.
That's the immediate thought, isn't it? Cozy cabin, maybe some snow. But no, the sources, the consensus now, it's pretty clear it's much more mundane.
Mundane how?
It refers to cheap pine paneling, that sort of trendy, light-colored wood that was fashionable in flats back then. Think. Flat pack chic, maybe? Disposable.
Disposable. Okay, wow. That immediately changes the whole feel, doesn't it? It strips away the romance.
Yeah.
Suddenly it's not a cabin in the woods, it's a cheap flat.
Exactly. It signals right away that this encounter is maybe casual, temporary, not some grand passion.
Right. And that sets up what follows, which is basically a failed seduction, isn't it? The sources paint this picture of just quiet humiliation.
Total rejection, yeah. The narrator, he meets this girl, gets invited back to her place.
Okay, promising start.
And then nothing. He apparently passes out on the carpet. Just falls asleep.
Smooth. Although, hang on, some sources mention a bathtub, right? Was it the carpet or the bath?
There's a little ambiguity there, yeah. Carpet, maybe near the bath. Either way, the point is, he conks out immediately. So much for the romantic evening. It's the opposite of suave.
Definitely. And her reaction?
Even colder. According to the lyrics, she laughs, gives him some wine, maybe, and then tells him to sleep in the bath.
Ouch. That's dismissal right there. The ultimate friend zone, but worse. Confined to the bathroom.
Pretty much. So the whole thing ends with a whimper. He wakes up, she's gone. This bird had flown. That's the line. Just abandoned, rejected, and stuck sleeping next to the plumbing in a room with cheap wood walls.
Okay, so why the code? Why couldn't he just write a song about a bad date? We have to remember the context, right? The real reason for the evasiveness.
Yes, absolutely. This wasn't just some fictional story he cooked up. This was, heavily rumored to be rooted in real life. Lennon was married at the time.
To Cynthia, his first wife.
Right. And in 1965, at the peak of Beatlemania, you couldn't just put out a song explicitly admitting you were having affairs. He couldn't, or maybe wouldn't do that.
No way. Imagine the headlines. It would have been absolutely explosive. So the lyrics needed camouflage.
Yeah.
Serious camouflage.
Exactly. And Lennon himself later basically admitted it to a biographer. He said the song was about an affair he was having that he couldn't tell his wife about. It was his private story, but wrapped up in this surreal, almost dreamlike imagery.
So he could deny it if he had to, claim it was just art.
Precisely. Well, maybe his inner circle knew or suspected the truth.
And the sources, they often point towards one specific person, don't they? Journalist Maureen Cleave.
That's the persistent rumor, yeah.
Yeah.
She was known to be a close friend, someone he had this real intellectual connection with. Apparently, that was something he felt was missing elsewhere.
That kind of intellectual companionship.
Right. But whether it was her specifically or not, the function of the song seems clear. It's a coded admission. Sneaking around, getting, well, not caught exactly, but definitely rejected, emotionally shut down.
Okay, but here's where it gets interesting artistically, connecting back to that defense mechanism idea. Because he couldn't be direct, because he had to use code.
It forced him to be more creative, right?
Exactly. He had to become this, master evasive storyteller. He couldn't just write, "She dumped me." He had to invent this whole scenario, the cheap room, the failed pass, sleeping in the bath.
And you see, that's a huge step in songwriting. If you think about their early stuff, it was very direct. She loves you, I want to hold your hand. You knew exactly what it was about.
Yeah, no hidden meanings there.
But here, the need for secrecy, that constraint, it pushes him into poetry, into symbolism. The feeling comes across that sort of unsuccessful sneaking, the quiet humiliation, but it's wrapped in metaphor. It's much deeper art.
So he's left there, alone, feeling rejected in this crummy room while she just leaves. That sting, that definitely sets up the ending.
Oh, yeah. The really dark part, the final stanzas.
The bit everyone remembers, even if they don't know the whole story. So I lit a fire.
From a match I found, and I watched her burn.
Whoa, okay. That line hits hard. It's violent. It's vengeful. So the big question, the one you have to ask, did John Lennon, the actual guy, literally commit arson? Did he burn her place down out of spite?
Right. Did he confess to a felony on a Beatles record? Based on everything we have, all the sources, the analysis, the answer is a pretty definitive no.
Okay. Phew.
It wasn't literal. It's powerful, that image, but it's symbolic. It's poetic license, brilliantly used.
Okay, so let's unpack why it works better symbolically. Why is metaphorical arson more effective here?
Well, first, think about the emotion. It's a gut reaction, isn't it? Primal. He's been humiliated, rejected. So the fire represents destroying that memory, that feeling. It's internal psychological revenge, burning away the shame.
He can't hurt her, so he destroys the scene of the crime, so to speak, the place where he felt embarrassed.
Kind of, yeah. But look closer. What exactly does he burn?
He burns the Norwegian Wood.
Exactly. Not the whole apartment, not her possessions, just the cheap, disposable paneling.
Which we already established represents the cheap, disposable nature of the encounter itself.
Right. So the fire is targeted. He's destroying the symbol of that casual, failed encounter. The real damage in the song wasn't physical, it was to his pride. And the fire is how he symbolically purges that pride, gets the last word.
It's like the ultimate petty comeback for being told to sleep in the bath.
It gives him control back, in his imagination at least, and Paul McCartney apparently confirmed this. He helped with the lyrics, and the sources say he mentioned that ending was added specifically for narrative punch.
Ah, so it was a conscious artistic choice to give it an edge.
An act of imaginative destruction, as he supposedly put it. They needed a killer ending, something memorable that broke the mold.
And it works because of that contrast, right? You've got this incredibly beautiful, gentle, almost hypnotic music, that sitar.
Yeah, that sonic cloak, as you called it earlier.
And underneath, lyrically, it ends with this really mean-spirited, dark fantasy of revenge.
That tension is the genius of it. That's why Rubber Soul felt like such a turning point. Norwegian Wood manages to hint strongly at the infidelity, satisfy that listener need for drama and real human messiness.
But the metaphor lets him off the hook. No felony charges required.
Exactly. The sophistication is pairing that beautiful sound with such a biting, destructive message. It's complex.
It really feels like an artifact of Lennon finding his voice, maybe. Learning how to talk about the messy parts of life through art, even if he had to disguise it. Sometimes maybe you do have to burn the evidence of your failure to get a good story ending.
Well put. And that image, that quiet, smoky revenge after rejection, it still resonates, doesn't it? It still feels kind of sharp.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
Always a pleasure to dig into this stuff.
Thinking about this, consider how often the most powerful creative works, maybe the ones that stick with you the most, aren't born from straightforward success. Maybe they come from that sting of rejection, that need to process a private failure and turn it into something public, even if it's disguised. Something to think about. Until next time, keep on opening new worlds with new ideas. And whatever you do, remember this. When you think it,
Your mind becomes its own kingdom.